Hey everyone, I'm Sage Valentine and welcome to my channel of the same name. This is my review of Survivor Worlds Apart Season 30, Episode number 2. So there are 3 reasons why Vince was voted off the island in this episode. Number 1 is because he creeped out his tribe mates. Number 2 is because he decided to split the votes without really knowing where everyone in his tribe stood, especially the people in his alliance, whether or not they were with him 100%. And number 3 is because Nina put a bug in Will's ear talking about how Vince was worried about Will's health. Will took that as a red flag and basically gave his vote to Vince rather than getting Jen out. So, just to get you guys caught up on who is a part of this season. Messiah, or the white collar team, consists of Joaquin, Carolyn, Max, Tyler, and Sharon. You should know that So was voted out first of Survivor. She's the first person to leave this season. Escameca, aka the blue collar tribe, consists of Mike, Rodney, Dan, Kelly, Sierra, and Lindsay. The no-collar tribe Nagarote consists of Jen, Hallie, Vince, Joe, and Nina. So nothing's really happening in this episode, like, towards the beginning. I mean, on the blue-collar tribe, Lindsay's still a little bit upset with Dan over the argument that they had in episode 1 about the shelter. Then Dan pops up with some shorts that he made out of his shirt, some, like, makeshift shorts. I'll give him an A for effort on that one. For the white-collar team, Tyler feels that Max is trying to downplay how much of a great player he is by taking off all his clothes, because Max is literally a super fan like myself. Sharon decides to join and strips off her bikini bottoms, which makes Tyler extremely uncomfortable because he's married. I don't get what the issue is. Like, I understand the sanctity of marriage, but on Survivor, a lot of people get naked. A lot. You just have to be okay with nudity regardless. Richard Hack. Nina is being shunned by 2 of her female tribesmates on the no-collar team. And when she goes up to both of them, actually to Jen, Jen just pshaws it away like psh, she doesn't want to coddle Nina. Not that Nina asked anybody to coddle her. And I'm just at this point pissed off because I'm like, Nina can't help that she's deaf. Like, I don't get what Jen's problem is at all. I'm not sure what's going on with her. But thank God for Will and Vince, because Vince was also upset and concerned about the way they were treating Nina. But I guess we kind of saw him on the side. But thank God for Will, because Will took the time with Nina to help her and to talk to her and make sure that she heard things. And I thought that was really cool, which is also why I believe in the end that she was trying to help Will. But I will get to that towards the end of this review. So we get back to the blue collar team, and it's Rodney versus Mike, because Mike is upset that Rodney wants to play and Mike feels like he's the only one doing the work. And then the same thing happens on the no collar team, because Vince is upset that Joe is getting all the credit for the work that Vince is doing, or so-called doing, and Vince feels like he's working the hardest out of everyone. And he doesn't trust Hallie and Jen, and he doesn't trust Joe. So there appears to be some type of alliance between Will and Nina and Vince. And then on the flip side, you see Jen, and Jen is afraid of Vince. She sees him as dangerous. So during the immunity challenge, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but a lot of people on Twitter were blaming Will for the reason why the team lost the challenge. The reason why they lost had to do with Vince. And I'm going to explain to you how it had to do with Vince. Because at one point, Vince got a little caught up, and his one little minor infraction kind of slowed the group down. So by the time Will got in the water, yes, Will was moving slow, but Vince was the first person out there. So Vince essentially messed everything up for everybody else. And in the end, Vince was the person that was supposed to shoot, I guess, the free throw into those, like, big, huge net, like, tubular things, and Vince kept missing every single solitary one. That is why I think that he contributed to the loss. I think that Will did to a certain degree, but in the end it was Vince, because if Vince could have just made at least 1 or 2 baskets, they would have caught up with the white collar and the blue collar team. But unfortunately, they didn't, and in the end, the no collar team ended up having to go to tribal council. Now, before the no collar went to tribal council, and they're just settling on the beach, trying to figure out who they're going to vote out, Vince goes to Nina and says he's worried about Will's health. He feels like he's deteriorating. Jen wants to get out Vince. Joe wants to get out Nina. Then all of a sudden, it turns out that Will is possibly in another alliance besides the one he's in with Vince and Nina. He's in another one with Joe, Hallie, and Jen. So I'm confused at this point. I'm like, well, which side is he, like, loyal to? So it seems like Will essentially is going to vote for Jen and get Jen out. And that would be a blow to that side of the team, and that alliance I'll call the Joe Alliance. Well, Nina decided at the last minute to tell Will that Vince is worried about him. Now, some people will think of this as being suspect, but I think that she wanted to protect him because that one statement seemed innocent to some, but to those of us who've watched Survivor, we should already know when somebody is talking about somebody else's health, they're about 2 steps away from voting that person out. So, at the tribal council, Nina feels like the odd woman out, and Jen mentions something to Jeff Probst about we need to keep the numbers up. So when she says this, I'm thinking, okay, they must have flipped on Will. They're going to get rid of Will. I'm assuming he's a goner. But in the end, it ended up being Vince, because Will decided not to vote out Jen and decided to vote out Vince. And he had a good plan to split the votes, but the problem was that it backfired on him. And that's the reason why he went home, on top of the fact that, as I learned in the end, Will flipped and decided to go with the majority alliance. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Will can finagle or do something to make sure that Nina doesn't go home. I'm not even sure. And up to this point, I have no horse in this race. I don't know who to root for at this point. I was rooting for Dan, but now I'm afraid for Dan. I don't know, and I'm not even sure who's going to win this season, because this season is that crazy. And as you guys all know, I'm all here for it. So until next time, you guys take care. Don't forget to rate this video. Leave your comments. Let me know who you're rooting for and who really annoys you, and were you surprised by what happened to Vince? And also subscribe to my brand of crazy, and check out my other reviews for The Following on Monday, Walking Dead on Sunday, and Survivor on Wednesday. I'll be sure to do it earlier this time. Hopefully there's no more snow. So until next time, check the links below, and you guys take care. It's Sage Valentine signing off. I love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.